Islam. I am Andrea Bay in Propria Persona Juris. And this evening on July 14th, 2020, 1440, I would like to begin reading what the definition in numerology of today is 14:5 when you break it down in numerology. Later, I will go on to read the document that is on public record, the cestui Act of 1666. Before I begin reading, I would like to burn some sage to clear out any negative energy or any beings who are viewing this who have evil or negative intentions. This is all peace and love, and this is for the improvement of our world and for us to understand exactly what's going on with everyone as far as how everything is going and what needs to be cleared up. This document I will be reading shortly is on the public record. Anyone who has a working phone or computer or access to any worldwide internet has the ability to look this up. So it's not hidden, and it has not been hidden the entire time. All right, we've cleared our energy. Let's begin. I'm referencing this insert from The Secret Science of Numerology by the author Shirley Blackwell Lawrence, MSCD. This is a karmic number, 14:5. There are lessons to be learned, or there will be accidents, losses in business, and in friendships. It is known as the number of experiences, for its possessor learns no other way. The 14 must learn self-control of all physical appetites and temper. They can become too involved in physical sense pleasures, and that could bring about health problems. The 14s have sharp mental facilities and enormous energy. It helps them a great deal to study philosophical truths to balance out their emotional energies. The 14s are enticed by anything that they feel can bring them a moment's joy, capital letters, 14, or fun, 14. They are too easy, 14, will wed, 14, on impulse, and later regret it. In Genesis, it is the serpent who tempts Eve, 14. To us, a serpent is a snake, and a snake totals 14. Its full number is 50, which shows it is to be highly intelligent, a sage. And one is one who has gained complete control of the senses and is on the spiritual path. It begins with an S, which is a picture of the serpent of wisdom, and shows the path to be anything but easy. It has turns in itself, but it learns through experience. The first vowel, A, shows it is a leader with a good mind and can put the material and spiritual differences into proper perspective because of the clear balanced line across the center of the A. That separates one from the other. G is the seventh letter, and 7 denotes spirituality and will seek it. But E is 5 of the 5 senses. And only he who learns, or she, self-control develops the powers of the true initiate. 14 is 2 times 7. Joy, numbers 1, 6, and 7 equal 14. At first, this was a surprise to me. I expected joy to be 23 because of the creative, talkative 3 with the 2 that loves to share. But no, real joy comes from within, the individual. 1, before it can be shared. Sometimes you and you alone can experience joy. And that joy is real to us when we work, capital work, 22 breaks down to 4. Toward and achieve fulfillment. That 4 is something we have earned, and that is what brings the individual joy in the real senses. Also, joy has the full number of 50, which is a number endowed with intellectual quality. Animals cannot experience joy in the same sense that man can. The root is 5. Curiosity, freedom, variety, all refer to man and the spice of life. all bring joy. Okay? So now I'll begin to read the Cestui QV Act of 1966. I'm still working on my pronunciation, but with much practice, I will get it correct. The Cestui V. London, 1666. During the Black Plague and Great Fires of London, Parliament enacted an act behind closed doors called the Cestui QV Act of 1666. The act being debated was to subrogate the rights of men and women, meaning all men and women were declared dead, lost at sea, beyond the sea. Back then, operating in admiralty law, the law of the sea, so lost at sea. The state London took custody of everyone and their property into a trust. The state became the trustee, husband holding all title to the people and property. Until a living man comes back to reclaim those titles, he can also claim damages. When capital letters are used anywhere in a name, that always refers to a legal entity or fiction. Company or corporation, no exceptions. Example, John, capital J, Doe, all capitals. Or Doe, capital D, and Jane, all capital letters. First, cestui, trust. Pronounce stake, common term in New Zealand and Australia. 2. Straw man, common term in United States of America or Canada. These are the legal entity fiction created and owned by the government whom created it. It is like owning a share in the stock market, which you may own a share, but it's still a share of the stock. Legally, we are considered to be a fiction, a concept or idea expressed as a name, a symbol. That legal person has no consciousness. It is a jurisdiction person, ens legis, a name, word written on a piece of paper. That traces back to 1666. London is an independent city-state, just like the Vatican is an independent city-state. Like Washington, D.C. is an independent city-state. The Crown is an unincorporated associate. Why unincorporated? It's private. The Temple Bar is in London. Every lawyer called to the bar swears allegiance to the Temple Bar. You cannot get called without swearing this allegiance. On our way out to reclaim your dead entity, straw man, that the Crown created, become the executor and then collapse in the called cestui v trust and forgive yourself of your debts and then remove yourself from the admiralty law that holds you in custody. When London burned, the subrogation of men's and women's rights occurred. The Responsible Act passed, CQV Act 1666, meant all men and women of UK were declared dead and lost beyond the seas. The state took everybody and everybody's property into trust. The state takes control until a living man or woman comes back and claims their titles by proving they are alive and claims for damages can be made. This is why you always need representation when involved in legal matters, because you're dead. The legal fiction is a construct on paper and a state in trust. When you get a bill or summon from court, it is always in capital letters, similar to tombstones in graveyards. Capital letters signify death. Capital letters signify death. Capital letters signify death. They are writing to the dead legal fiction. A legal fiction was created when someone informed the government that they there was a new vessel in town based upon your birth. Birth certificates are issued to us by the doctor, just as ships are given birth certificates at the dock. It's about commerce. We come from our mother's waters. Your mother has a birth canal, just like a ship. The ship moves by the sea current, just as we are able to move by the current sea. All this information relates to how the general public are still legally tied through maritime admiralty law. Through this ancient legal construct, we can be easily controlled and duped. Learning about your legal fiction helps you to unlock yourself. Otherwise, you are just an empty vessel floating on the seas of commerce. Parents are tricked into registering the birth of their babies. In about 1837, the Births, Deaths, and Marriages Act was formed in UK, and the post of Registrar General was established. His job was to collect all the data from the churches which held the records of birth. Regis, from crown or queen, all people are seen to be in custody of the crown. This allows people to function in commerce and to accept the benefits provided by state. We have to understand who we are as men and women and how we can relate in the system. The City of London is a center for markets where merchants work. Then there is mercantile law. It comes from admiralty law. Look at the symbols in your city courts that relate to admiralty. So where you have commerce and money, you also have justice and injury. You need to understand the bankruptcy before you can understand the judiciary. We have accepted the claim to accept the summons, yet only the dead can be summoned. There is an obligation to accept any liability which has been created. We are operating in admiralty, not guilty plea, or any plea admits jurisdiction. The straw man, aka legal fiction, is always guilty. Barristers and solicitors make a living out of creating controversy. By creating a controversy, you become liable for the case. Honor and dishonor. To remain in honor, you have to accept a claim and discharge it. Then you add conditions, i.e., I accept on proof of claim and proof of loss. This gives the liability back to them. The legal fiction is always guilty. Only in the high court can the real man or woman appear. Games are played on courts, hence the name court. It is a game with actors acting on acts. It has to be treated as a game and just business. Courtroom dramas are misinformation. In the public, we are operating in bankruptcy and you receive benefits. It takes a lot of time, effort, and study to understand and to use these tools. You have to be prepared to go fully through the process. Get the right tool out of your toolbox at the right time. People need to learn how to act as a creation of God rather than a creation of man. Okay. With this being said, I encourage everyone to educate themselves on the Cestui Act of 1666, and I would encourage everyone to get in their proper proper status, whether you are a Moor who is nationalized or you are a subject in the land of El Morocco, because at some point in time, very soon, it will be very essential. And all we're doing here is peace, love, justice, truth, and freedom. But we must be in our proper person because now is the time. Grand rising, grand rising, grand rising. It has been my pleasure. I am Empress Asia Andrea Bay. Have a great evening. Bye.